Hey Raj, what are you talking about today?
So today we are going to talk about secure infrastructure access for the modern session management. Do you want to introduce yourself? What?
I'm Ward.
I'm Raj. Okay, let's get started.
And this is our second video. So now we're talking about secure infra access.
Yes. So secure infrastructure access, it is named as SIA, and previously it was named as DPA, Dynamic Privilege Access. So we launched this module almost like 3 to 4 years back. So it came into existence almost like 3 years back. So the idea was very simple, how we can take session management to the next level.
So SIA is a bit like the traditional PSM, etc., but then more of a replacement, alternative, improvement. I think previously when we talked about it, you called it modern session management.
Yes.
Can you elaborate a bit on that?
So the way we are keeping this modern session management, right? It can help you to provide a zero standing privilege access to your virtual machines as well as to the databases. So this is the first and foremost thing. And we are not considering it as like a replacement. It's more like if customer has a session management requirement, so that's where CyberArk, we provide a multiple modules. SIA is going to be primarily for your VM and database. Your PSM is still going to be for your thick client, for your custom applications. And then for a web application, we got a secure web session. So that's how from CyberArk standpoint, so we provide this multiple way of session management. So SIA is one of the modern method to provide a access for the virtual machines and database. So let's write it down. So it's for the VM access. Currently, we support both Windows and Linux. Then we support database. In database, like we support all the standard one, MS SQL, MySQL, Oracle, Postgres.
The usual ones, basically.
Yeah, the usual one, MongoDB. Then I think there are like one or two more we support. So these are the few things what we support. So why, again, one of the things I mentioned, so the primary idea of this secure infrastructure was to provide a zero standing privilege access to your, it can be your cloud workloads, or it can be your on-prem workloads. So it doesn't matter to us at all.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where we started. And since, okay, now we are sitting in 2026, I think almost like 1 year plus back, we started supporting vaulted access as well under SIA. So I think before we talk about all the feature and functionality, let's discuss about what problems it intend to solve. So again, a couple of reasons why we came up these SIA. So the first thing is the TCO, total cost of ownership. So our product management team, they did some sort of analysis. As part of their analysis, they found out that running the session management, especially for VMs and database on SIA, it can save almost 80% of the resources.
Mm-hmm.
Almost 80% of the resources.
That's quite significant.
Yes. So this is the first thing, 80% reduction on infra. Second thing is like a lot of customers. So whenever we talk to them, they always talk about, hey, for your PSM, apart from buying the CyberArk licenses plus buying all the infrastructure, there is a need to buy RDS licenses as well. With SIA, we are minimizing the need to buy these RDS licenses. Okay. Like for any Linux access, for database access, for Windows, there are like one or two specific use cases. Only for those use cases, customers need to buy these RDS licenses. And majority of the time, they don't have to buy RDS licenses. So here, in terms of RDS licenses, it's going to be reduced significantly. So that's the another part. Third part is native access. Like, what do I mean by native access, right? So one of the very common use case, we keep on hearing it from customers like since many, many years, that the people, especially your database administrators, your developer, the way they are accessing all these databases, right? They use a different tools like PG admin is very common example. Some of the people I talk to, especially in Singapore market, they want to use Heidi SQL, DB Weaver, like there are so many different clients out there. So with the help of these SIA, we are providing a ability for our customers to continue to use their native clients. So it doesn't matter whatever it is, whether it is on Windows, Linux, or database. So it doesn't matter to us at all. So they can continue to use their native clients. So minimal change in their user experience. Another thing has come up more and more is like in cloud, especially in the cloud conversation, right? So a lot of customers, they're running more like a ephemeral workloads. Okay. Your workloads are part of your auto scaling group or elastic group. When more number of people are coming to your website, right? Your whatever your auto scaling group will grow. And whenever there is a lean time, then that group or the VM's gonna be automatically deprovisioned in such kind of scenarios. So most of the time, customers, they care about whether CyberArk can help them to gain a quick just-in-time access or a ZSP access without worrying about onboarding, deprovisioning, and all these things. Yeah, for the elastic workloads.
I mean, that also has an impact on your total cost of ownership. Ultimately, if you have less process, you have less steps to take to onboard servers, you're going to save time and money doing that as well, right?
So ZSP access without worrying about these are the few different elements involved. I think just to get into the details, right? So what we can do, especially on the ZSP access, the way it works, again, it's a very simple process. So in SIA, what we do, CyberArk, we got a concept of strong account. Okay. So then the strong account, it can be like for Windows. So let's take an example for Windows. It can be your local admin account. It can be a domain account. For Linux, so what we do, we primarily leverage upon SSH short-lived certificate for the authentication purposes. In the Linux, What we leverage upon, what we do, we keep that private key with ourselves. And we are providing a public key. And what customers have to do, they have to go and deploy that public key or a certificate. And so that's how the trust is going to be established. So private key is with CyberArk. So that's on the Linux. And when we talk about database, in database, you will have some sort of a strong account, some sort of a local account or a root account or whatever. So we are keeping that account with ourselves. And whenever any user is trying to connect, so we are using that strong account, connect it to the target server, and then create a ephemeral account. So again, we can talk about it in the...
So effectively, when we use zero standing privilege, we're not using vaulted accounts at all.
No. So this is the strong account. I think let's get into how does it work behind the scenes. So behind the scenes, so what CyberArk SIA does, especially for ZSP, so we use these strong accounts. So let's take an example for Windows and database first. So we use the strong account. We connect it to the target system. In this case, either it is your Windows local server, it can be your Windows, your DC, it can be your database server. Okay. So we connect using the strong account, and then we go and create a ephemeral account for the user. And this ephemeral account will be added to a specific role. So that's how user, whenever we talk about ZSP, that's how user, it gains an access. And these ephemeral accounts, these accounts are like valid only for a very, very short period of time. After that, CyberArk SCA will go and connect to the target server. It will go and deprovision those accounts.
And that's the account that the actual user is using when they're connecting to the server.
Yes. So that's on the Windows and database. For Linux, so what we do in case of a ZSP, we primarily leverage upon, we create a SSH, short-lived certificate. And using that certificate, user will go and connect to the system. And user internally will be mapped to any of the existing user pre-created in the system to that sudoers profile. So it's slightly different the way we have implemented ZSP for Windows and database versus the Linux.
So effectively, in case of Windows servers, for the strong account to work, either if it's a standalone server, it needs to be an account that exists, or if it's a domain joined server, we're using a domain account then to establish an ephemeral account. And then on the Linux servers, because we're using an SSH certificate, then we need to install the CA certificate that is used to issue the certificate. The SSH certificate needs to be installed on Linux. So there's a couple of small steps that are part of the deployment process, but beyond that, effectively, you deploy servers, you'd be able to connect them without actually having to onboard any accounts and vaults or anything like that. So the process of onboarding servers and being able to use them is a lot quicker, because in case of Linux, there's just an additional step in the imaging part. And for Windows, they just need to be, in most cases, just domain joined machines, and you can start using them and connect to them.
Yes, that's correct. So one of the biggest benefit we see and we hear it from the customer is, so I was having a discussion with like a couple of customers back in Singapore. So some of the customers, right, very large size customers, they got like 100,000 accounts, privileged account, sitting in the PAM solution. So one of the objectives they have in their mind is how they can slowly move from so many 100,000 standing account to like only 50, 60,000 standing account, and rest of the accounts are going to be moved to ZSP. So via reducing this number of account, they will be able to reduce the risk. So that's how like they wanna continue their journey in terms of managing all these privileged accounts here.
Now, I do have a question here. When you have in a typical setup where you have safes and you have vaults and you have accounts loaded in there, you'll have permissions who can access those credentials in the vault.
Yeah.
So how, in this scenario, how do we control who has access to what systems?
Yeah. So that's a very good question. So here, in case of SIA, we got a concept of access control policies. You can have a very, very granular access control policy. You can say, hey, what needs an access to, for example, XYZ systems only from Monday to Friday, 8 to 5 o'clock. After that, if ward needs an access, ward has to go through some sort of approval workflow. So this is how we have designed our access control policies. Again, it can be very, very granular. So I think before we go into the access control policies, so one of the things we can share it with the audience is, so ZSP is just one thing. What we have done a very tighter integration with AWS, Azure, and GCP.
Yeah, I think that's a key element we haven't really touched upon that much, is how that integration then allows us to do discovery, etc., and actually know of the existence of the service and allow people to connect to them without having to do additional steps.
Yes. So here, let's take an example. You can have AWS, your workload sitting in AWS, Azure, or GCP, Google Cloud. On the CyberArk side, again, all these services, whatever we are talking about, it's all part of the platform. So what we have done, again, we will showcase to you guys, is you can onboard your entire AWS organization or your entire Azure management group or your GCP. So the way it works behind the scenes when we are doing this cloud onboarding, so CyberArk, we are going to get a read access permissions. So what those read access permissions are going to look like, what it does, on a periodic basis, it will go and scan your entire AWS organization. It will go and grab all the information. Hey, what are the different accounts present within your AWS organization? Where exactly your VMs are being hosted or your EC2s are being hosted? Which region? What's the instance ID? What's the private IP? What's the public IP? What's the VPC or VNet they are being hosted in? It will help customers to go and gather all this information. So let's write it down.
I have to ask here, if we're collecting all this information about VMs in cloud accounts, and previously we were talking about policies, can that information that we capture, say, for example, tags, etc., that is applied to service, can that be used in the policies?
Yes, definitely. Currently, we gather information for AWS, Azure, and GCP. All this information, whatever we gather, when you're crafting policies, you can go very granular. You can say, hey, if the tag is matching, for example, what's department, what you belong to, professional services team, you belong to APJ department. If it is matching to only these two tags, then only for those VMs, what should have an access to. You can have all these granular level kind of access control. So we go and find out accounts, subscription ID. Then we found out region. Then we find out instance ID. Then we find out the tags. What are the tags associated? We can find out the VPC, VNet. So we can help our customers to find out all this information, and then they can have a very granular level access controls. So here, some people call it a attribute-based access control. So this requirement is coming up more and more often whenever we talk to our customers. So especially for these three cloud providers, CyberArk can help out in terms of having this attribute-based access control. But overall, the ZSP concept can be applied for any kind of a VM access and database access. It doesn't matter whether it is sitting in an Ali Cloud, Oracle Cloud, on-prem, it doesn't matter to us at all. It is going to be done seamlessly.
That's very impressive.
Yeah. So should we show them the demonstration? How does it look like?
Yeah, let's do a demo.
It's not going to be a demo. It's going to be more like showcasing how the onboarding and how the policies are going to look like. So this is the CyberArk platform. In the CyberArk platforms, you are able to see all the different services, both on the human side, machine side, and recently we have integrated the agentic AI service as well on the same platform. So this is what my secure infrastructure access is. Here you see we provide both the options, your vaulted credential as well as your zero standing privilege. In a zero standing privilege, so one of the things you have to do, so this is what we talk about, establishing a trust with the help of the strong account, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then similar to your PSM connectors, you have to deploy a SIA connector. In SIA connector, deploying this connector takes like less than 2-3 minutes. It's pretty easy and very, very straightforward. And then you have to go and define an access control policy. So we will go to the access control policy a little bit later. First, let me show you one of the things we were talking about. You can do a cloud onboarding. So here you can see there is a cloud onboarding for AWS as well as for Azure. So what I did my cloud onboarding. So this is what my AWS organization is. It is called Raj Delegation Account Org. This is what my root and my test. So you just have to do this onboarding just once. And behind the scenes, even if like thousands of AWS accounts are being added, so we will go and discover all these things automatically on a periodic basis, and we will be able to go and discover all the EC2s, all the virtual machines placed within your organization. So this is how this onboarding is going to look like. So we will go to the AWS side. In AWS side, so I ran this cloud formation template. So this is what got created. So here you see, as part of the resources, so my role, cross account assume role has been created. So let's check that role. And here also, like, there is another role has been created.
Mm-hmm.
So here, if I go to the account provisioning policy, here you see what we are doing behind the scenes. So these are the two different permissions we are getting. Okay, describe instances. So that's how we will be able to gather all the information about the virtual machine as well as the region. Hey, on which particular region your VMs are being hosted. And if I click on a trust relationship, so this is the principle. This is the request coming from the CyberArk. Again, for audience information, currently CyberArk infrastructure is hosted in AWS behind the scenes, but it doesn't matter to the customers at all. So this is our principle, and then we have created this particular role behind the scenes on our SaaS tenant, and that's how we are gaining a trust on this one. So this is how this entire onboarding is going to look like. Again, I think in the subsequent videos, we can get into the details of onboarding. Once the onboarding is done and once the connector has been deployed, the next step is your access control policies. On the access control policies, again, you can craft out the policies for virtual machines or for database. So we have created like a couple of access policies. Let's look into it. First, we are getting into the Windows. Again, you can define the policy name, whatever you want. You can provide a time frame. Again, it's very important. So many times whenever we talk to the customers, they will want to provide an access to their internal staff only for 1 quarter, for example. So that's how they will be able to limit the access for a specific time frame. Here in this case, we are saying we are crafting out a policy for EC2s. And let me click on edit. So here we are saying, hey, let's craft out a policy for this one specific account. You can craft out the policy for like multiple accounts as well. And then you can define the region. That's very important. If you are a multinational organization, if you have a team spread across like multiple region, you can define, hey, you want to provide an access to a specific region only. Then VPC is also gonna play a very important part. And then you can add a custom tags as well. Again, these custom tags is gonna help you to limit the access, as well. So after that, then if I click on this access rule, here we are providing a access for Windows. Here for Windows access, so what we are doing, we are going to add these users as part of the administrator group, and we are going to create a local ephemeral user. As we were discussing, so there are two different options we provide, ephemeral local users and ephemeral domain user. So we are providing a complete flexibility. And then here you can add a member. So currently I have added just a single user as a member, but most of the organization, they will be adding as a group of a member. And these groups are coming from your IDP. It can be your Entra, it can be Okta, or CyberArk can be IDP as well. Then you can limit this entire access to a specific time frame from Monday to Sunday, or you can do it like from Monday to Friday. So once you're done, just click on save. That's it. It's pretty standard. So then if similar thing, if I go to the Linux, so here also you can define the attribute-based access control for your cloud. And then if we go to the access rules, in the access rules, so we have selected a Linux. So what we are doing, so let's take an example in case of Ward is trying to access a specific VM. Ward will be mapped to this particular pre-existing user. This user can be created on your virtual machine itself, or it can be, or your VMs can be AD bridge joined as well. So we support both of these options. And then same thing goes for members, same thing goes for access windows as well. So it's pretty standard. Anything else, what you think we should cover?
No, I quickly want to touch upon the connectors. I mean, we haven't really spoken much about the connectors beyond saying, well, they're smaller, they need less resources, so you can have the same connector. But actually, here is a good example where you can see when it comes to, for example, the maintenance of these connectors. So when you install a connector, it's just a script you run. But then when it comes to patching and updating connector, literally it's just done from the interface here. You click on it and it will update it. So it removes a lot of the overhead and the work on maintaining these boxes, right?
Yes. It does that. Like it's pretty simple. Again, I think in the subsequent videos, we can talk about running a connector. Let's take an example. Select a operating system Linux. Click on next. It will provide you a script. You just have to copy and paste this script on your VM, on your connector machine. That's going to be pretty much about it. So so here we have created a script. You just have to run this script on your VM and then you will be done.
Yeah, that's very quick and easy, isn't it?
Yes. And then we provide a very detailed session diagnostics as well. So if you are trying to access the VMs and if there is any issues are happening, so all these things are going to be like you will be able to quickly troubleshoot the problem. That's another thing what we provide. And if we go to the settings, so here like we provide both vaulted and ZSP approach. And then one of the other things, right? A lot of customers they are still leveraging upon the PAM self-hosted, but they want to leverage upon the existing or the awesome capabilities of our SIA solution. We provide both of these options here. So that's another thing. And recently we have come up with another option, like apart from providing a native access, if you want to have a RDP access or a Windows access using the browser, that's also possible.
Yeah, I think it's probably good to point out as well that when you do with the RDP access, you get an RDP file that will let you connect. You don't even need to be on the same network. You just need to have it basically will route this through our infrastructure to connect to your server. You get the remote connectivity pretty much out of the box here, isn't it?
Yes. And we do provide this MFA caching option. You can select the MFA caching period. Then this one is another one has come up, client IP enforcement. So many times the customers, they think that, hey, if somebody steals that short-lived token, what's going to happen? So then what you can do, you can make this MFA caching token applicable only for your specific IP addresses only. If attacker they steal it, they try to use it from a different location, their access is going to be denied as well. Yeah, and then you can have your session duration. You can have a ideal connection timer. We provide all these settings here.
Yeah, so this is much more a modern cloud-based type of service. All the configuration is done from here. We do deploy the connector through a script, but there's no configuration you do on the connector itself. Everything basically comes from here.
Yes, everything.
Same for logging and diagnosis. Everything is done through the web.
On the backend, on our SaaS backend, So that's where the heavy lifting is done by CyberArk. I think that's it from our side. Thank you everyone for watching this short video. And in the subsequent video, we can go deep dive.
Show you how to set it up.
Yep. Thank you, Bob.
Thanks.